Okay, we'll call the meeting over at 9 o'clock. We'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have the agenda in front of you. Look to, are there any additions that should be added?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Roll of the minutes as they were sent out. This would be the minutes of both the August 6th and 9th. We would be looking for approval.
I will make a motion to accept them or to approve the minutes
Of both meetings.
of both meetings, yes.
Got a second to that?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the warrants.
Do we know what the Armor Express carriers and ID placards, pouches, plate, do we know what that is? Offhand? No. Can you let me know what department that was?
Armor Express.
Yeah. Commissioner's warrants,
Yeah.
ID place cards. Carriers.
It's all sheriff's office.
Yeah, okay.
It must have, I bet you it's something to do with all of their.
It's with Best. Carriers and ID,
Okay.
I'll ask.
yeah, carriers and pouches, yeah, that's what it
It's
is.
either that or it. Yeah. It's either that or it has to do with something. With a building.
Well, and that leads me into the next one is we have on the agenda the reimbursement from bond proceeds for ditches. There's a lot of bills in here for the law enforcement center. Are we gonna,
Well,
do we need a resolution to, we don't? Okay.
I'll explain some of those if you want to go through them.
Well, no, I see what they are. It's just wanted to make sure we can,
Some of it is. Some of those bills that are for the law enforcement center. If you remember back in 23, the county got. $140,000, whatever it was, that state police money.
Public safety dollars.
Yeah, the one-time deal.
Yep.
Part of that money is being used in these bills. For their camera system.
Okay.
Backup, whatever, without having to take it out of the.
Bonds.
okay.
because you can use it for that, so. One. It's one of those deals where, well, if we don't use it. If we don't use that money, what the hell you can use it for?
Right.
Sooner not use the bond, if we don't have to borrow that much money, then we.
So that,
It's less to pay back.
that what's not used on the bond can just be returned, taken off.
Well, we'll sit against,
It's gonna be like this building, it just sits there.
it sits against what is owed in the end. Cause you've already, you know, the EDA is already.
It's already done, yeah.
You could be using it for a payment or for whatever, yeah.
So that'd be like that 21,000 on Morris Electronics for
Yep.
access cameras.
Yeah.
I had the same question, but
So that, yeah. That's a little more,
We had to use those public safety dollars in this calendar year, correct?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Yeah. We've used part of those public safety dollars for something else. Smaller portion of it was for a server backup or for something with the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Their video was backup or something. I'd have to go back and look.
And then the Watson dispatch consoles, that 55,000, that's 911 phones, correct?
And that's coming out of 911.
Right.
Because we're trying to not
Yep.
have a war chest there either, because every year that gets reported to the state as far as what our balances are. And we've done a very good job for the last 15 to 20 years with the sheriff now and the previous sheriff, so knowing at some point we're gonna have to spend a lot of money for dispatch.
Right.
Well, at some point is today. So now we're gonna burn some of that up because the state. Well, you can probably remember this, State sees that and they make comments.
Yeah.
Some counties do not have a penny.
Yeah.
We're sitting on about 450,000.
And they're gonna say, why do we keep giving you money if you have that much money?
Well, and it comes from the phone bills, you know, that's where we, you know, that comes off.
Yeah, you're.
911 fee.
But up until last year, it was in 2023, up until 2023, we were getting about $6,500 a month, 6,700 a month, something like that. In Grant County received. Well, now we're getting 12,000 or 12,000 a month for 911 funds. So we've gotten to the point where we're, you know, some of our computer stuff that we pay for, we're trying to not build it. But we were waiting for, you know, today to happen, and then we're gonna sit down and say, okay, now what can we start really drawing out that? So,
Allowables.
yep, and it's very, very strict on what you can and cannot. A lot of it's technology, a lot of it's your radios, communication, those types of things that, you know, can't take wages out of there or anything like that, so.
so on page 13, that West Central Com Incorporated, whatever, that's not
That's-
community actions.
No, that's not
That's
community action.
West Central Communications.
That's West Central Communications, that has to deal with the sheriff's office.
A cat switch, 8-port GE, whatever, that's all LEC.
That's coming out of that 280, that 01280 on the formula. That's 911.
Okay. Same thing.
And that again, has to do with all the upgrade now.
The interoperability.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you spend to buy armor radios out of those public safety funds?
Public safety funds?
Yeah, that one-time money.
I'm assuming so. I think that was pretty loose. There weren't, it's definitely not like 911 fund.
It's a different.
I believe, yes.
Okay. Good.
Now, one time we talked about paying for the generator out of it, you know.
Right.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to pay the warrants and special commissioner warrants and auditor warrants.
Dave, a motion, we have a second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Well, we got 4 minutes. We could start a little early since it's Ashley, I believe. You'd like to come forward?
Morning.
The first thing I have is the employee recognition program. So, usually in August, September, I send out emails to those that have hit a milestone. Because we have a recognition program that allows them to purchase an item with a Grant County logo on it. And looking at the website, looking at the price ranges we have, there's not a lot you can buy with some of the prices we have for the 5 and 10 year. We've had $20 to $25 for 5 years, and that can barely get you a hat. So I'd like to adjust it a little bit, just the top, the 5 year, 10 year, and 15. So the 5 year, I'd like it to go 25 to 40, 10 year, 45 to 60, and 15 year, 45 to 60. The rest stays the same, which is 20, 25 is 60 to 80, 30, and then 30 to 50 years is 80 down $100. So I'm just adjusting the top 3 to give those a little bit more variety to choose from. So I'm just looking for an adjustment approval to adjust the policy.
I will make that motion. You'll get those, that stuff to Chad, Carl, the figures.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Is there discussion that relates to that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, the next thing is just a discussion as far as where we're at. So today we're interviewing for the emergency management position. Tina's also going to be involved in that. And we may make a decision on that. I just wanted to give an update as to where we're at with that. Make sure that you guys are all good with that. And we'll move forward and hopefully get someone filled in the position. Any questions? Yeah, that's all I have.
So
Yeah.
we had 12 minutes.
Hmm.
You want to give us some update on kind of your department and what all you got going and give us
Mhm.
the view from Ashley's? What
Hiring,
maybe we can do to support you?
hiring. We've been hiring some big positions lately, obviously, you are all aware. Working on open enrollments coming right around the corner. We're gonna be doing Aflac open enrollment, health insurance open enrollment. And all of our other supplemental open enrollments as well. They're all separate. But we're gonna actually this year have Gallagher, who we work with, who's our broker, come here for open enrollment to explain the benefits in more detail, explain the HSA in more detail. I think it's important that employees know how an HSA works, especially that the county now is putting funds into an HSA. We have quite a few people on that plan, so they're gonna come out this year and talk about those plans. I'm in communication with Gallagher quite a bit about what, next year looks like. We're in our last year of PEEP. And then we'll be going out for bid to see what we can get, if we move or if we stay. I'll be
So
setting,
so excuse me, is 24 the last year or 20?
25 is the last year. But
Okay,
we'll go out for bid next year to see what we could, if we want to make a switch. The downfall sometimes is PEEP doesn't give us our numbers until September,
Right.
end of September. So it gives us only a couple months to make a switch, which is a lot of work to do. So they've kind of got that figured out. But the plan is to go out for bid next year just to see what we can get, if there's anything different, better. I'll be setting up an insurance committee meeting here, probably after we get our premiums. So we can sit down and look at those and then, talk about open enrollment. So that's the plan there. Aflac is scheduled to come in October, so they'll be here to do open enrollment with everybody in October. We're looking to, have an HSA plan that everybody will be on. So kind of like how our flex account works, we go through health equity. And everybody is on the same health equity plan or for their flex money they put in. So HSA is gonna work the same, because right now everyone opens their own HSA account. And we, not me, the auditor's office has to input all of the routing and account numbers for all those separate accounts. So we're gonna try streamline it, so it's just one health equity. I input the numbers, the funds, and then that's what they get every pay period in their account to use. So that's what we're looking to change for 25.
Is that
Gallagher,
for the HSA piece?
HSA, yep.
And so help me out with that. That would be a county fund?
No, so it's, each of it has individual accounts, just like our flex. Everyone has individual accounts that they use. But do you ACH it? How do you send funds?
Or
Like for flex, it'll be the same for flex.
flex. I think we ACH it,
ACH it. So they just
I think.
send that to the designated accounts. Like if I had an HSA, the funds would be sent ACH'd and put into my account.
So there's a company that manages that.
Yep. Yes, health equity.
I was-
Same.
Let's say there's 10 people that put $100 a piece every paycheck in. So we have when we do payroll, we one check to the vendor or to his company. It's like one ACH file or one check for simplicity. They get the full amount. They don't get $100, $100 for everything. They get one and it gets sent there and they know that who gets what in each line.
Cause I'll, at the beginning of the year, I'll set the amount.
Yeah,
So then they know.
I wanted to make sure I did. I was thinking that maybe the county was gonna take on that vendor role. Managing the HSA.
no, I
That's
don't
not
think
what
you
you meant.
even can.
Yeah, I didn't.
Mm-mm.
Well, right now what happens is it's got an HSA. They go to their bank of their choice and they set that up on their own. We're having most people will do it in the same bank that they have their checking account or savings account at. So we're sending money, it's getting kind of messed up with some banks, I would say. And then we have one, institution that has multiple employees at the same bank. So they're getting these amounts and we're starting to see issues because some of them want those direct deposited. Well, if we have 3 people there, we can't set up 3 different banks for the HSAs and 3 different ones for. It all needs to go to one place for simplicity. And management. Management, I think, is probably more so than the simplicity. Because there are rules to HSAs, as everybody that has one knows.
And then it's this time of year for recognition programs, so I'll be sending out emails to those that are eligible to choose something, and then come December, I always come in and let you know who met those milestones. And that's right now, open enrollment is starting, so it's getting to be busy times with that.
Questions for Ashley?
One thing to look into with the HSA is those who have it at a different are they gonna have to close that account, transfer?
No, they'll be able to leave it open and they can transfer it if they want to, otherwise they can use that and then have the other one as funds start going in.
So who collects the data, if they want to do pre-tax dollars, is that up to you or do they reach out to the auditors?
So open enrollment time, we're gonna be sitting down with them. I'll be probably administering it, filling the paperwork out with them. And then, December, I put in that information of this is what they want to contribute. We have 26 pay periods. And then they figure out, yeah, and then it's automatic once the funds are sent.
Okay.
Yep, it's the same, it works the same as our flex account and our dependent care.
Right.
Right now we have currently. Yep.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
No, I don't have anything else, thank you.
The updated one.
Matt, would you like to? You got extra 5 minutes, we can talk about what, 110 and.
Not my agenda items.
That's what
That's a
happens.
great answer. Not on the agenda.
We approved the agenda already, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair.
yes.
If we can talk about a committee report, I guess, we can bring that up. That's what you're interested in.
We better bring it up.
Well, let's rephrase the question. How's Matt doing?
I'm doing good. How's the board doing?
I think okay, we're pretty early in the game here. Now you got 4 minutes to talk about something other than what we're gonna talk about at 9:25.
I'm not too talkative.
I know you're not a man of not so many words.
I've seen a lot of dust down at County Road 10 ways.
Yep, well, shaping it up today, paved tomorrow and Thursday.
Okay, so they're gonna like to do that.
Yep.
Matt, everything else down there then is, you know, the curb and gutter and everything in there. I went through there the other day, I was just looking.
There's some cleanup, some washouts and stuff that they need to fix up yet too.
How about seating?
Yeah, well, that'll come after they finish paving.
Is there anything else, on the punch list that Friday we're supposed to be doing?
Yes. There's several items that still need to be finished up. I haven't seen anything yet on the cultural signs and stuff that need to be put up there, those types of things.
Yeah.
I think the public is anxious and they're going next week.
I would assume they are. It's been a long project.
Yes.
Or is it more than that?
Long enough.
A couple hiccups, but.
Well, it makes it interesting.
At least that road is sitting there the way it's supposed to now.
Yeah, it's not moving at all, so.
I didn't know.
Even when we dug in the culverts, it was pretty hard down there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next item would be the official appointment. For Matt, I did talk to Matt and asked him if he could, the one that was sent out with the agenda didn't have some dates on it. And so, the appointment, you received it in the mail, would say that we declare that the county engineer should be appointed for a term of 4 years. Whereas Matt Lovell was originally appointed to 1-year term beginning on
August 1st.
August 1st. August 1st, 2023, and needs to be reappointed. Therefore be it resolved, the Grant County Board reappoints for a 4-year term beginning on
August.
what's that?
August 20th. Since today is the.
Oh, okay, so it'd be
Says
today.
that on the top.
So would there be a motion to reappoint Matt effective August 20th, 2024 through August 20th, 2028?
It'd be probably through May of 2028, because that's when the statute says is reappointments are supposed to be.
Okay, so maybe. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
And I'll second it as a recommendation from the highway committee members.
Okay, is there any discussion? I guess we have a highway committee. You have any input?
Commissioner Walbott, you made the motion. Would you like to elaborate on it?
No, I've worked with Matt now for a year and I see that he's good with the public. He gets back to people. He's gonna do something, it gets done. So, you know, we've been working on a lot of little projects that have been in the works for many years. And they're moving forward now with helping townships out on a couple bridges, I guess they call them, or culvert. No, I think he's doing a good job, so I'm happy about his, style there as far as if somebody calls him. And I tell all these town board members to call him up and, he'll talk to you and he'll tell you what he can do and what he can't do. So, communication's a big deal there, and, that's, pretty good at that, so.
I have to agree with you. Yep, in fact, there's a lot of feedback coming out here from the public that they like you. How you set things straight and where things are at and get back to people and things like that. So you got some rapport with the public out here, which is exactly what we need.
Any other discussion? Matt, would you like to add anything before we vote?
Yeah, sure. I've enjoyed my first year here. It's been extremely enjoyable, I would say. Challenging at times.
Get through that first month.
Well, the first month was really challenging. But yeah, it's been fun. We got a lot of projects that we've getting to the finish line now, and got a lot of, looks like there's gonna be a lot of work come next summer. And with getting one of these projects out the door and completed and hopefully start moving forward on newer stuff. That's kind of the goal.
I think we're really fortunate to have your leadership. All in favor of the reappointment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Of course. Maybe the afternoon too.
Breakfast, noon, and lunch.
After their tea.
Okay, we got the sheriff. You got an extra 3 minutes. Ooh,
They're gonna need it.
No, our schedule kind of changed a little bit, so. So I know that on the agenda, we talked about deputy introduction to the scheduling, which didn't work out. So we'll shoot for that sometime here in September, when we can both together, if that's okay. Kind of in its place, and it's something that I had forgotten to get on the agenda, is we'd met with quite a personnel committee meeting. Was it last week, Troy? Week before last, Doyle? And we talked, we're meeting with Tina Lindquist, talking about some EM stuff, going over some things, and one of the things that was brought up and kind of moving forward here and looking at the future. We talked about we were talking about the Armor radio system, the local system administrator, LSA, of which I hold the title right now. And remember back in the day, one of our past dispatchers used to hold that position as far as the dispatcher, local system administrator, 911 coordinator. And so we brought that back to the table to discuss that, and are asking if we didn't get the board's blessing to reopen and revisit that position. We believe there's a potential within our office that we would have some interest in that. And that would, in a sense, to lessen the load on our end as well. Moving back to that position. Ashley was fortunate enough to find the old job description. We reviewed it, and there was only one minor change to the whole entire job description. And that was removing the radio programming certification, which was required in the past. The reason that would be removed is we no longer do any of the radio programming. There was a time in which we had all that equipment to do so. The computers, the staff, the instrument to program everything. It's not cost effective to us to hold that type of equipment, and that's why we rely on West Central Communications to do that for us. So, yeah, so the position again, like I talked about, was the dispatcher slash LSA slash 911 coordinator. And so that would be the ask of this office, if we can reopen that job title or that position and post it internally to look into the future for for our radio stuff here in Grant County.
It's not an additional dispatcher, it's just the. And a number of years ago, the board passed, if a job sat empty for a year, it had to come back here before we could rehire it. So I'll make the motion to reactivate the LSA dispatcher, whatever that title is exactly.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Also,
So help me out. This, we had this before, or who's been doing this now? Make sure I get this.
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had this before, so, without getting into too much personal stuff. That person that held the position, was relieved of their duty, and their job within Grant County. And so, having knowledge of the position and the workings of that, I took on that role, and I've held that role for, let's say, 6 years now, 5 years. And, it all kind of plays in with Tina leaving, who was very involved and very knowledgeable on the Armor radio side of things too, for this county. It's a better fit moving forward on having another person now kind of dedicated to this role and those duties.
Right along with the rack and the O&O and all that, correct?
Some of it, yes.
So this will be sheriff's department employee that will be designated.
Correct.
Would the involvement from the future emergency management person, would that change then or evolve? In a great word.
Well, obviously, it obviously could, but there again, it all depends on whoever that new EM is and what qualifications that person has.
that would be and also on the emergency management side, it's.
The involvement in that
Right.
part of it, yes.
So that's not gonna be the focus initially, that.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
And that person would be the contact for the, the emergency services board and things like that.
All depends on where that person falls as far as on the committee, if they're an alternate or a designate.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
But this person would train the employees.
That's part of the job description is the radio training portion of it.
Yeah, it's not just the sheriff's office
No.
employees, there's
It's-
your
Yeah,
fire department,
county
ambulance, schools, it's.
Buses.
It's 130 radios that you get a service. Right, and train on and however that works. That's what we still have for a number of armed radios in the county, correct? Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what the exact count is. It's probably actually more than the one for, so.
So did you get the motion? How, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Courthouse security grant.
Yes, so we have formed a committee. Thank you for letting us do that. We met on Friday. And so right now that there's a grant out, it's a 50-50 match through the state of Minnesota, and it's due August 26th. So we are diligently working to try to get some quotes. So we did talk to the IT department, and they said that the courthouse security could update all of our surveillance cameras, possibly adding an additional 6 to 8. Now that the sheriff's office is going to be moving out, we are kind of losing sense of security because we won't be there, but I mean, we're going to be close. And so we talked about cameras, we talked about a metal detector, and we got a quote from that. Either $4,000 or $6,600, depending on if we can get on this GSA contract. It would be cheaper through the government. So we got to look in to see if we can qualify for that. We also look at doing another security and on-site security. assessment, and that hasn't been done since 2017. So I did reach out to the MSA, Minnesota Sheriff's Association, and they said that since this grant, they've been asked to participate or to do these again. And so they haven't come up with a yes or no yet, but they did say if they did, it would be about $2,500 for that. So those are some things that we're gonna add on to the grant. If you guys so wish, the grant does request that we, and it doesn't say, I think a verbal would just be fine. But it says the application must be authorized by a county board and must demonstrate a 50% cash or in-kind match. So if that is something that you are interested in, and we can continue to go forward with this grant.
So you mentioned the metal detector, that would be for the courthouse lower? Or for the law enforcement center?
No, it would be for courtroom security.
Yeah,
Courtroom.
Yeah.
That's it.
Courtroom
Yeah.
security.
I mean, because if we did have one at the lower level, then you'd almost have to have someone manning
Well,
that.
that helps.
And
Two
we-
entrances, I was kind of wondering where this was going.
Yeah,
That
no.
answered that.
So, yeah, I should have clarified. Yes, this would just be for the courtroom, and it would be for, right now, just for jury days. When we have jury trials, because we always have to have a bailiff up there so that they can be helping man that, make sure. So it would be down to one entrance. It would be through the elevator only. And then we shut down the stairs going up to the top level. Several other counties that have unique courthouses like us, that's what they have to do. They just rope off the steps and line everybody up through the elevators.
So do you feel this moving in a direction that we may get asked to address courthouse security with the new law enforcement center? I mean, is this, obviously it's moving in a safer direction. Is it moving in a direction that's gonna satisfy court administration?
Well, yeah, just part of this committee, the meeting that occurred last Friday, yeah, part of the people that are on the committee are the new court administrator, the judge, facilities maintenance, the building committee, law enforcement. So yeah, everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Obviously, Judge Dahl, who was on the committee, she was very supportive of the program and offered to write a letter of support for the program, for the grant. Rachel also acknowledging, and she even indicated that she would have tried to have been here today for this meeting to talk about this, whether she attended by Zoom or not, I don't know. So, yeah, I think everybody that's on the committee is of the understanding and the agreement that, anything that we can do to improve the security of the courthouse as a whole, not just focusing on the courtroom, is a benefit to everybody.
And so from what I understand, Jen, you're saying you have the 50% in your budget and the sheriff's department's budget for 24, so then we would be acknowledging that? Is that what I'm
No,
hearing?
no, what it is we're presenting to the board, asking the board to cover the 50%.
Oh,
That's what, and we don't know what that 50% is gonna be, right, until we get quotes on the overall cameras to be additionally mounted and to see what this walk-through metal detector would cost, what we could potentially see as a cost. So let's say if we see an overall cost of $6,000, we would be asking the county to contribute $3,000, right? Because it's a 50-50 match. We don't know what that price is gonna be yet.
the 2,500, would that also be part of it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
say 10 grand or whatever, so you're looking for,
I'd say 10 or 12. Yeah. Mhm. So 50% of that. Yeah, and this number came out, it's only $500,000 for the whole state of Minnesota.
Yeah, it's
So
to be
it's-
divided amongst 87 counties basically, so it's not a,
So if you get too big, you're just gonna be set to the side anyway.
Yeah, And
So,
we can continue to look for grants
Mhm.
to,
but this gotta commence to happen before the 26th, you said, or something?
yep, so I have to do, right, make the application. Yep, yep. So I do have I have pretty much the grant written already. And I have all the quotes that I've been receiving from the Garrett walk through detector. And we do have a quote from MEI. So,
We gotta pull power up for that walkthrough thing. Is there electricity there?
it's just a 110, yep, yep, and it's on caster wheels, so you can move it around, that would be ideal. Mhm. Mhm.
And then update this security assessment.
Yep,
So we got fresh dates on it and.
fresh dates and,
Dialogue.
yep, and they give out recommendations, because there is a best practices for courthouses. And so, due to being a historical building, we have some setbacks, obviously. And now that the sheriff's office is leaving, we're gonna have more. But. So, but the one in 2017, we tried to follow some of the recommendations as much as we could. Minus of us having a big security right when you walk into, and having it manned 8 hours a day. Financially, we just can't do that.
So this assessment, what's your expectation that would come out of that?
Well, the state of Minnesota states that we should have it done every 5 years. And we would try to accommodate whatever suggestions they make.
What if they suggest something that we can't do?
It's only a suggestion.
Yeah,
Oh, it is.
yeah,
And a recommendation probably.
yeah. So, if anybody wants to see the one in 2017, I do have a copy of it. Would you like it?
No, that's fine.
You probably remember it.
Well, that was my, I was going there. Yeah.
Oh, were you?
Troy was a shirt.
Oh, yeah. Would you like to see it? Okay. Anybody?
I have a copy.
Yeah, you do.
So we have a request that it comes out of someplace other than the sheriff's departments. That, I'm sure I agree with that, but I've got to believe you.
Well, it's courthouse security.
It's court, it's not, yeah,
It's
it's
just
courthouse security.
But
it's not-
because you left,
Oh,
Oh,
I'm teasing. you,
yeah.
guys.
okay.
So it's coming out of some fund that's other than the sheriff's department. Where's that fund?
Well, let's say it comes out of the sheriff's office fund, comes out of the general fund. I mean, at the end of the day, it's coming off, there's no special place it's coming from other than taxes at the end of the day. So
It's a
where's your special fund is the taxes.
It's a Grant County cost. More than just, sheriff's department.
How the auditor's office codes it as far as which fund is not, where does it ultimately come from? It's the same place.
Could be public safety dollars too, maybe, I don't know.
You shake
That's
your
your
head.
world.
No. So if we make the motion in the second, Chad, where's it gonna get? Does it come under the commissioner's budget?
You have a department that's called buildings,
And grounds.
that you levy for every year.
So that's where it would come. Okay, then we got that settled. Is there a motion for this?
Commissioner General will make that motion as a recommendation from the courthouse security committee. Member,
We should have a second
Is
before.
there a second?
Second,
No discussion.
My question is, are we putting a top on what the county will contribute?
You've got some codes, you said 40 some to 60 some plus the 25, it's
Well, I think it's,
12,000.
I think before if there's a cap on it, let's say, I think it's probably best that we have all the figures in front of the board before that decision is made, how much, that wants to be spent on it.
Well, I mean, realistically, let's say the grant's gonna be $15,000, what we're asking for. We could say we're gonna cap the county's contribution at 20, that actually allows you to apply up to 40. It's normally we have a dollar figure cap on what we're going up to, not to exceed.
Yeah, well, that would, I mean, I don't even foresee us doing 15,000 and half of that would, be ours, so.
Right, it's just that's, my opinion, that's best practice is
Okay.
to have a not to exceed amount.
Sure.
So would you like to amend your motion, Bill, to have a maximum county contribution up to a dollar amount?
I can do that, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
And I would venture to say that I think a $20,000 cap would give you that range,
On the counties or the grant?
just the grant,
so 10 for the county,
correct?
okay? We have a motion, is there a second to that?
I second it.
Do we think that's enough, Troy?
Jen's right, I mean, she's the one doing this, is that enough?
Yeah.
No, I didn't say anything about an amount,
No, it's good, I agree with you, is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last, I guess, on the list is just a few things with the new LEC that I need some answers from the board for. The materials, there's extra materials left over, some that were removed, and we'll start with the old retaining wall by the middle building. We had to tie a new one into the old, so there's a lot of old block and everything removed. There's two different colors. We stacked all of those on pallets and set them aside. Technically, it's county property, and we have no use for them at the building now. I'm wondering what the board's take is on that, and what they want to do with that. And if we want to hold on to them for potential further use, where can we store them at? We do have some leftover brick, exterior brick for the building that we also have to store someplace, just in case, somewhere down the line, we have to repair something or fix something on the building. I guess my question is some of that stuff that can be stored outside indefinitely. Can we utilize the fenced in area north of the recycling shed down by highway? As a place to store those things. It's a few pallets. For things like that. We'll have other materials that I'll find room for inside buildings. That we can store indefinitely. But those are just some of the things that are starting to come to light now as we get much closer to completing this project. This final dirt work will have to be done, and those products that we've had stored in back to the north of the LEC will need to be moved. So we just need to find a home for them, kind of. Last Wednesday, we took delivery of our generator. You can't miss it if you come up there.
It's huge.
It's big and it's green. Yeah. And I wanna say this, that we had to find a big enough crane service to lift that in its place. And locally, there's nobody around that had a crane big enough for that. And the only person that ever came to mind to me was John Riley. He's got two cranes, a 75 ton and a 175 ton crane. And, Doyle's brother-in-law has run them ever since they invented the things, Ron Bulker. And so I reached out to John weeks ago in a text telling him that we needed a minimum of 75 ton crane to lift this 13,500 pound generator into place. And And John Riley called me back and he says, yeah, I got your text. What do you need? And I told him what we're looking at and he said, yeah, well, he goes, I don't have a lot to do with the crane service. You'll have to talk to Ron Bulker about it and line it up with him. I said, okay. I said, now we need to talk about your availability and costs associated with this. And he said, well, you talk to Ron about availability. He deals with the schedule. As far as costs associated, that will be free to you. So I told him, I said, well, you can't do that. He said, yeah, I kind of can because I own them. And so I think it's just worth noting and mentioning the fact that John had offered that service, to Grant County, his machinery and his employee to come up here for a morning and set that in place for no cost to the county. So yeah, last Wednesday, Ron showed up and we had a pretty good sized crew there to help Ron rig and everything and get that lifted off the trailer and set in its place, and it went flawlessly is what it did. So it worked out fantastically. So I did want to mention that about John Riley for doing that for us. So, and I will personally reach out to John again about it and have that conversation with him. So yeah, with that, I mean, everything is still flying along. We've got a lot going on there today. The wells, well guys, they all finished up last week on drilling the 24 and geothermal wells at 340 feet deep. They returned yesterday and now they're digging trenches and connecting all the lines and getting all the manifolds and everything they need to do in place. I think they'll be probably done with that by the end of this week, which will be fantastic. And then we can start looking and focusing on the rest of this finished work. Waiting on Joe Riley now. They're doing some more dirt work up there as far as the drive and the parking. Waiting on Diversified for sidewalks and curb work to be done. So things are flying along. So it's looking really good. So that's really all I've got at this point. Just wondering if you guys want to keep those blocks or if you want them disposed of, or.
I would say keep the bare minimum of what we have to, and then ask Pat on the next sale. I mean, all that stuff that can sit outside, to me, can we put it in, ask Matt if we can put it in the salt pit, then it's not where people are looking at it and seeing it, and if they're seeing it down there, it's why are they in it? That's my thoughts.
Okay.
Do you have a recommendation?
Do I? No, I don't. I'm not a thrower.
Me neither.
You're gonna dispose of them. I do have one recommendation, the way you were there when we built the shed. It is my belief, if I can recall that far back, that actually Todd Sneedberger bought and paid for all those retaining wall block. They only did not. He donated all those.
I bought some of them too.
And you bought some of them? Yeah. I think it was you two. The two of you that bought them?
Yeah.
So just. But county technically didn't buy those block.
You want your block back?
I'd, yep, let them have the block back.
So just so you know.
I know.
As you move forward, if somebody says, well, it's county property, it's this and that. Yeah, the county didn't spend any money on it.
We should ask them and reach out and ask them. if they want them.
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, that's,
Okay, I can call.
You can ask Todd, but mine was strictly a donation to the county.
Those in possession 9/10 of the law.
I'm not a thrower, so I have a hard time.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, don't throw mine
There
on
would be
the
some
floor.
change.
Stack them somewhere.
how many are there, you know?
I'd have to go count for it, but I mean, there's, like I said, there's a handful of materials that we have to hold on to and then I can find storage for. It's just that they're gonna have to be moved and we just can't keep moving them from one end of the site to the other, to the other, to the other. So, okay.
So question, there was some communications as far as the contracts for the city contracts. Did you want to address that?
Well, yeah, the the only city that's really responded to anything is the city of Barrett.
Okay.
I've had no communication with any other council members throughout the county. City of Barrett, and I had agreed to going with a 1-year contract not to exceed the 3%. Not that we were asking for the 3%. And then we're not comfortable in signing anything moving forward, not signing a 3-year contract.
I talked to him right afterwards and explained that the 1 year was for budgeting purposes. We would negotiate the other 2 years prior to a contract. I don't think there was the full understanding of what the intent was.
No, okay.
It was a budgeting purpose for the 3%, still to negotiate the other 2 before there was a contract. It wasn't. She thought it was just open end, the contract would just be open ended
Yeah,
for the
and I-
last 2 years and.
Right, and I, after their response, yeah, I kind of assumed that too. Maybe they were under the impression that, well, are we gonna ask for a 5% in 26 and 27?
But they were locked in, but with no price.
Yeah, so.
So it's not material in relation to the other cities. Okay. We got 4 minutes, Jen. You want to add anything else from your department or sheriff's?
We're excited, we're full staffed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the new deputies, it's going good.
Yeah.
They're both Grant County citizens, you know, they were in the beginning, so. The one I knew, I remember when she was born, the other one knew him when he was little too. So,
I think it'll be,
Sure, you're old, in other words.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I am old. Yeah. They're young though,
Yeah.
they are young.
Okay, well,
All right,
thank you.
thanks much, appreciate it.
reimbursement resolution ditches. Are we expecting someone for that or is that?
Well, I can go over it. I know that Jamie from Boise Sioux was zoomed in, but I can definitely go over it because I've had communication with the folks from TAP, and from PFM, who are following council and financial advisors. So what I believe the letter the information I sent you, the first letter from TAP explains it well, if you've read that. What this is really just a resolution, in past years or in past projects, you've adopted something similar or had the ability to adopt something similar, much like Troy alluded to for the LEC project. If you spend funds ahead of the bonding or during the bonding, you can basically pay yourself back. In a nutshell, that's kind of what it's saying. Given the 2 projects now that the ditches have been, authority has been transferred to Boise Sioux, they are looking at doing a couple of projects and a couple of ditches. And if you adopt the resolution, which they're asking you to do, then a declaration of intent could be signed by the county board without full approval of the board. In other words, you adopt the resolution, then the board can adopt the intent. On ditch 21, the exhibit A would be, the estimate is 3.2 million. Needless to say, the county is probably not gonna go spend 3.2 million and ask for the money back. And the ditch 3 is 1.6 million.
That's a repair, not an improvement. Right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm another ditch person. It's, so they're asking for the reimbursement, the compliance with the reimbursement bond, under the Internal Revenue Service Code. That gives the authority to adopt the declarations. It's pretty standard. We've done this before in other bonding projects. Times you use it, times you don't. Just gives you the ability to do so. And if Jamie is on, I don't know if she's on, but she probably can explain it better than I can, but
Sure, thanks, everybody. So we've been working hard to get these projects to go, both Grant County Ditch 21, the improvement, and the repair of Grant County Ditch 3. Ditch 3 is sort of, if it were a horse race, getting out in front, and we want to make sure to keep that rolling. And it doesn't make sense to request a bond issuance for both of these projects. It would be better if we bonded them together. And so this resolution just sort of gives a placeholder so that as we incur costs at the watershed, that later we can get reimbursed through bond issuance when Grant County Ditch 21 is ready, which will likely be next spring.
So Jamie, it'll, yeah, between the ditch 3 and ditch 21, that'll be just one bond? Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. Yep. The bond issuance costs, as you guys know, can be significant. And so it just makes sense to put them together to alleviate the landowners from the duplication and issuance costs.
Right. And one is an improvement, ditch 21 is an improvement, and then ditch 3 is a repair, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Just didn't know if anything changed there or where that was headed.
Has,
I will make a motion to enter into the reimbursement resolution.
I'll second it.
discussion. Has Justin reviewed this or not needed, or you have thoughts on that, Chad?
I don't believe Justin has reviewed it, but we have our legal counsel for bonding.
Okay,
That's this Taft,
okay, so that's who we work with, and they've reviewed it.
yes.
Okay,
And then Jamie, you know, touch on Lucas Crocus has looked this thing over, correct?
I actually didn't have Lucas do it because it's your guys's bond. It's your guys's bond counsel. They represent you guys. And from our perspective, there's a lot of different ways this could go as the placeholder, and they're the experts. So
Thank you.
so we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Ten oh three, Carl. You got 2 extra minutes.
Well, Chairman Johnson had called me last Friday and just asked kind of what would my position look like if I were to leave, and kind of what are some of the things that I would do right away, starting as county coordinator if I accept the position. So, right now I'm still working with the personnel committee on a negotiation for this job. This is just kind of a rough outline. These are just some ideas that I put down. So last Friday, I created kind of where I kind of see going forward with the position. This is a quick 500-foot view. This does not mean that this is, I haven't met with the strategic planning committee, to kind of verify where I'm going to start in any one of these processes. But this is just kind of a kind of an overview or an outline of things that I see would need to be done. Still looking for input from, like I said, the strategic planning committee or the county board. This is basically an overview. And a lot of these things, they're gonna take some time. Like if we're talking about creating policies for the board, writing up kind of what Chad has done in the past and having the board review that. We can make this a living, breathing document to make sure that it's changing with times as we go through things.
Just, it's like, I was gonna bring it up sometime and I didn't get it added to the agenda before we approved it, but since it is on here under general, it's, Carl's got research of Grant County's cannabis policy, and I was contacted by, some of the council people from Hoffman that there's an article in the Minneapolis Tribune that there's an application for a outlet for cannabis sales in Hoffman. And so it was like 1,800. I haven't seen the article. He just wanted to make it aware. I did get some correspondence from Janae. So we kind of knew it's here, and I don't know what we necessarily need to do yet, but that is an example of. And I know we talked a little bit before the meeting, and public health has been involved in this, Horizon, and so that's an example that potentially might float to the top before something else. The other piece is, and I'd like maybe you to address it, Carl, is your vision and how you see assisting in your current job and the new wearing two hats, kind of how do you
So,
how do you see that?
for right now, once I was be appointed as the county coordinator, I would assume that I would be vacating the assessor position. The county has 90 days to appoint an assessor. In that 90 days, I'm not gonna let my assessor's office falter. It'll be one of those things where I make sure that the essential items get done so that the county continues to flow in a smooth transition manner. When we get the new county assessor in position, I would assist them in their position. I would make sure that they're set up for creating the 2025 assessment, just showing them the timeline, showing them the basics of what they need to do, where they need to go to learn to do the assessor job. The assessor position, all of my daily functions are all written in a procedures manual. Basically getting them so that they are on that path. I want to teach them, show them where to go, find all those documents where they need to be successful. And when they get to the bigger ticket items, again, that's where I'm going to come back in and I'll be able to assist them through those processes.
So will you have two offices? Was there a place up there for you, or do you take Rob's former office, or how do you envision that?
I'll need two computers because I'd like to keep the assessor stuff separate from the coordinator stuff.
Yeah.
I believe that I could probably work out of my existing office for most of it. There are some private items that might need to be moved down into the meeting room. I assume that, yes, I could, if there was something that was really pressing, yes, I could probably for a day run down and work in Rob's office. But I would probably foresee that most of the day-to-day stuff, I could probably do in my existing place until the assessor position is filled. At that point, we'll figure out where we're at with the movement of the sheriff's office or when they occupy the new sheriff's building. If they're not moved out yet, I can move into Rob's office. I'm not picky about where I'm at doing my job. It's not my space. Wherever you tell me to sit, I'm fine with sitting there. Until I'm assuming that the sheriff's office, there's a little bit of work that needs to be done. Probably some carpet, some painting, some few minor things that need to be done up there before I can fully move into that space. That's kind of how I see it. As in the Marine Corps, they're saying it was Semper Gumby, always flexible. So I can be flexible.
Well, we're coming to that.
So,
One thing I don't see on this list though, that you kind of created here is, AMC is, I mean, we see a lot of administrators and coordinators and things like that on there, and I'm sure it's written into some of the language here that this is some of the, in my opinion, that's a good place for you to show up. And I know you go to the assessors convention and all that stuff, but I mean, we got a fall you know, and an annual conference and a legislative conference and things like that. That'd be huge if you would show up to them.
And that's why I put under the county board, those last couple items is what committees and what conferences would you like me to attend?
No,
You know, if there's, I did already kind of had the assumption that it was the AMC conference.
yeah,
I wasn't sure if there were other conferences that would be more coordinator geared, other than the AMC conference.
yeah, they
So-
have one. I think it's up in Breezy Point or something. They do a lot of strategic planning and stuff like that. You know,
So-
we get emails on it. So.
Yep, and if there were any other like state committees that you would like me to try get onto, sometimes being a new coordinator, you don't just get the primo. The primo committee that you want to be on. Typically, you might have to serve on a subcommittee of some part just to basically get your footings or learn how the organization goes. And then after you've been there a year or two, then you can typically move into those because they might elect you into those positions.
I think you're wanting to get a hold of Ryan Erdman at ANC. And because there's trainings they would offer, there's things they can help you get assimilated.
Yeah, you'll be in community eventually.
Yep.
So Matty O'Gard, Ryan or Nathan Zacharias, I think is his name. He's the IT specialist.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Getting back to the cannabis. Okay, Doyle and I were at Verizon last week and Stevens County. They're finalizing their cannabis ordinance and right away, Douglas County asked them first. See if you can send us a copy of that. And I think we should take a look at that too, that ordinance. And because there's some things rolling our way here with applications and things like that.
Well, the first thing we gotta find out is, are the cities gonna do their enforcement or is they gonna hand it over to the county? Cause you can't write a county one until you know the cities or what the cities are gonna do.
That's right.
So I mean, it's,
But it'd be fun to see.
neither one of them can really do anything until the state finalizes their rules. It's a mess.
And that would be a thing that I would be working with the city clerks. And I've already got a good
But
word.
I think it would be good for you to see whatever Stevens County ordinance says, just in case it goes that way, because I don't know what the cities will do. But they might say, county, you take it,
I'm assuming they will, but I don't know.
Is that Stevens County or Douglas County?
Stevens.
Stevens County.
And Douglas wanted a copy of that right away. They might want to look at that. I think we should look at it and see, but yes, so. But there's a lot of work gonna go into that when the time comes where the state says, okay, you know, you can take applications or, you know,
Hours of operation,
yeah, things like that.
compliance,
So,
much like a tobacco compliance.
yeah, and so I'm sure Becky Young is involved heavily in that one down there, so she's a good contact for you. Yep. Yeah, she would be. She'll help you out.
Doesn't Verizon do the tobacco compliance process?
Yes, well, yeah,
Tobacco compliance, yes.
Yeah.
They've also been involved in the cannabis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
so,
There you go.
but it's a lot coming our way on that end of it.
I definitely think there's a lot coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Who knows who will wanna make application, you know, there's money to be made, I mean, there's. For the people selling that, so. Yeah,
Going back to the office location, I do think would probably be a good idea. I mean, obviously Rob has moved.
Yes.
To establish that as a point of the coordinator until the law enforcement center is vacated by sheriff's department. It might be healthy for your existing job. And if, so we're not,
Mixing,
well, there's going to be mixing,
yes.
but that you do have a home base. And I just feel like it. Yeah. Whether it's confidentiality, whether it's just workflow. If you're here, somebody else in your department might be picking up some of the things that normally they'd say, well, Carl's there, you take this, and you might be taking more stuff than you need to. I don't know, I don't know what your day is like, but I think I would recommend that. I mean, it's up to you, but it would be, as long as we have a spot that,
So that would lead me down to the next item and until we're done with the negotiation process. I don't feel like I should be fully doing a lot of the coordinator position work until we get to that point.
until the Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted.
Or what's the intention, or how would you like me to move forward?
I'm not sure if personnel, can you help me with?
Well, we've started the negotiation process of getting to where he's gonna accept the offers. So, today, we don't have a recommendation of that.
I would wait. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that.
I mean, we've got the coordinator wage and we've got to figure out, if you're doing a dual role, there's additional compensation for doing a dual role that's got to be put in there too. We haven't even gotten that number yet squared away. So there's more to it than just, here it is, just go.
No,
And there also does need to be some time that I do need to wrap up some of my personal projects that I've been doing in the assessor's office. That I'm there, I do need a little time just to strictly finish those up, because to hand those off to somebody mid-project can be very confusing. So I'd rather start them off from the beginning and kind of
Any other counties out here, looking or pursuing assessors that you know of, or all those roles filled?
in our region, we're fully staffed.
So do you think there's anybody in that office that could take over your job, or?
Currently, I don't feel like anybody in our office right now would be willing to take on the position. There are a number of licensed appraisers who could move into the assessor position in the area. In some of our surrounding counties who are probably at the next stage of their career that would be willing to move into it. And especially if they're kind of a new or inexperienced, they might benefit having some of my knowledge or some of the preset stuff coming in to help them be successful. They might be willing to take the position. Otherwise, there's the opportunity to put it into the MAAO job search. Basically, it's all licensed assessors in Minnesota. So any one of them, if we push out the job opening to any one of those, as long as they're licensed, we could bring one of those individuals in. So it really narrows down who you need to advertise to, because it can't be from anybody from out of state unless they miraculously had the position. But if it's gonna be anybody, it's gonna be somebody from that pool.
and so let's say you get the negotiations piece settled. My thought would be a little bit like a running start. You got things to button up and finish, and you're gonna be building this, right? I mean, if 60% of your time is spent in coordinator and 40 in assessor, you build the respective departments for your costs, and at some point you will transition. And I think this is new to all of us. I think we support it, and so I think you just use your judgment and keep the ship sailing in generally the right direction, and to put a fast hard date, well, that ain't gonna work. No, I think we trust you that you've been around a while, so you kind of know what's happening. And I don't know, other suggestions for Carl, thoughts?
So Carl, that 90 days, and that doesn't start till you officially
Resign.
take that. Yeah.
Correct.
So, okay.
What happens if with 90 days, we haven't found it?
We'll find somebody within 90 days. There will be an applicant. There will be a filling. There might be some restrictions on their license. So if we hire him as accredited Minnesota assessor, they have, I believe it's 1 year to get their SAMA, which is the license level required to be the county assessor. So that would be the time period that they would need to meet. It's not, basically, it's an interview with the state board of assessors. It's an 8-hour test and a couple other classes. So it's not impossible. Every year they're available, so they should be able to.
So just like when you resign, you still got your license for,
My intention is, yes, to retain my license. It's way too much work to just drop that license.
Other thoughts you might have or questions for us, Carl?
That's basically what I had. Again, this is just a very, very rough, I sat down and just kind of put my thoughts down on paper and just tried to make it so that you could see kind of where I'm looking at. I wanted to make sure that there's gonna be other input into this document. If there's things that you say, well, we'd really like you to look into this as well, let me know. I'll put it on here. This is exactly what I was gonna create day one.
Yeah.
Was start figuring out kind of what I need to do and start creating a work process. And I was gonna get a hold of Becky Young and kind of say, if you were to start this position and it was a brand new slate, what are the first 3 things you would do? Like,
Should be a good one to draw.
so, and I know Becky very well, so it's one of those things that I have a good relationship with Becky,
Good.
even outside of work. So
Okay.
it's one of those things that I did want to kind of reach out to some of the surrounding counties and just kind of see where they are, because they're pretty similar to Grant County. So,
I probably would suggest that we have maybe a basic understanding that just like you have now, that you're on every agenda. And it's towards the end, can say, in case something comes up prior, that can be addressed at the end of the meeting. At which point down the line, you don't feel you need to be an agenda item, but I think there's gonna be enough moving forward and communication and just working together to have you. So I'm not gonna ask you to put you on the agenda, just put yourself on the agenda. How's that? I mean, I just think it's important. And until we, like I say, at some point that might evolve, but
can do.
are there anything else?
Conference is next month at Arrowwood for AMC, for fall conference. The 12th and 13th or something like that. If I give you a recommendation and you can do whatever you want, but the general government committee would probably be a good one to get started at. The public safety and environment and all that stuff, but just to get your head around everything that you want to do. And there's coordinators and administrators that sit in on general government. That's all. And as well as I sit there. That's my committee.
My other item too is kind of that we're thinking about this is, at what point would you want me to start? Like once we get through the negotiation portion, when would you like me to start ordering a computer? Or has that already been ordered? Or when would you like me to because there's gonna be some costs just setting up an office. I mean, there's certain things that I can bring the pens that I've gotten at previous conferences, I can bring a couple of them down here. But I mean, I don't have 3 staplers laying around and I don't have, there's just some minor things. At what point would you like me to start at least getting some of the basic items?
Well, I would say today would be a fine time to start. Because
So you're giving me permission to,
we have a coordinator's budget.
Okay.
And I don't know what Rob left in the office or what you can move, but we're committed to the position and now that's Ken's idea. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I'm fine.
Sooner the
Gotta get there sooner or later. Might as well start now.
Yeah, and so. More thoughts? Otherwise, thank you.
It's a lot.
All right, thank you very much.
Committee reports? Got it.
I have one,
Yep.
Mr. Chair. Our EMS committee, we presented to the board last meeting, I guess. But anyway, we didn't put a dollar amount into the line item that we made a motion on. So we met again. And we're recommending for the preliminary budget that we put the 165,000 in there. And then, because Chad will need that for his preliminary budget, is sooner the better, right, Chad?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what we would recommend.
So is there, maybe I should know this, is that based on some need that or some identified? How do you come up with the number?
Well, Eric presented all that,
Okay,
but some of it was for the relief and equipment. It's a 15-year projected deal on ambulances, saving up. Lake Region was a 10-year plan because they use their ambulances more. And what he discussed was that the county, would levy the money, and then the EMS committee would meet and for equipment and look at what their needs were, what the requests were, and then present it to the board. What else, Bill?
About it. You
Oh, for the relief, for the eligible persons that meet the requirements, at the end of 25, then a request would be made for that relief money in 25, at the end of 25, because they got to meet 10% of the activities, these volunteers.
that the request, the money would be moved from us to the cities then, or to the
Well,
individual, or?
I don't think it would go to the cities. It would go to that firm.
Or that,
They're setting up an individual, I
Right.
cannot stress enough, you need to get bylaws for this entity made up.
Yeah,
Because you're dealing with tax dollars going to individuals, there needs to be bylaws that
no, I agree.
that spell out, this is what makes you eligible, and this is what it is, and this is when you can get it, and this is how you can get it, and this is how much you're getting. Just to
Yep.
set up an account like that without those bylaws, you're asking for trouble.
No, they understand that, that's for sure.
so how much of going down that path, Troy, how much of that 165 would be designated for the benefit piece? Do you remember?
I think it was 45,000.
Yeah, it was, they had a number of, and it, you won't know, so you're doing an estimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause you won't know until you have the end of the year numbers of how many people met the criteria. And then I believe they proposed 1,500 per year.
Mhm.
So that is how you're gonna get that actual number. You're doing an estimate where then you may not have to levy as much the next year. You have to levy more, because there's more people.
Right, depending on the enrollment of employee, you know what I mean, the benefited people. That's correct. I thought I had it here.
Feel like Eric's volunteer crew up there is quite large, but a lot of them, they probably wouldn't make the 10%. So, yeah, we don't know exactly, it's an estimate. And then we were, the Hoffman got that, like around 50,000 from the state, but we're trying to figure out if they can order an ambulance and that money could still be used towards an ambulance when it comes in 3 years, you see. And they haven't found out an answer to that yet. And they really don't know what to do with that money.
Down payment,
Unless they can do that with it.
down payment.
Yeah, that's what I told
Get the
them.
process started.
Yeah, because their ambulance is 16 years old.
Yeah.
And,
Been hit by a school bus.
You've never.
So we approved the preliminary when, Chad? September?
And the next month.
Second meeting in September.
Yeah.
So for now, do we need a motion to this or just to let Chad know? Because we're gonna approve the preliminary. We don't really,
It'll be in the preliminary.
okay.
Cause we got the line item done, but. And, we'll just see how it all unfolds there. Well. But yeah, I agree with you, Troy, the bylaws are, there has to be, that has to be stated, you know, all of that. So.
Nice,
Once it's in the budget, then you create the bylaws for it and then
But-
25. it'll-
It's not our bylaws.
No.
We're not the ones that are creating those.
No,
bylaws.
no, but it's. That'll be a
So
board.
I wonder then, those bylaws would have to be adopted by Ashley Hoffman again.
Well, there's gotta be an entity, somebody's gonna have to own that account.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're gonna have to be. I mean, so we can't just give money to a random account, they're probably gonna need to be set up as a 501c3 would be ideal. Cause then you could ask for money from other places, such as fire reliefs and things like that. But yeah, they need to be an entity.
so. And I think we've been down this path. At some point. This is kind of gotta happen. Cause I mean, if we're gonna appropriate money. And pretty soon it won't be preliminary, it'll be a final budget. A little bit like the chicken and the egg, and well, I agree with what Troy's saying, but if we don't, and all of a sudden we're at whatever point and we're scrambling for some entity to have bylaws. How do we support our committee?
Well, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but our auditor, before he cuts a check to somebody, is gonna need some sort of tax number identifying where money's going, don't they? Don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, so they gotta have a tax number or they don't get no money.
So the point would be, if we can appropriate the money or set it up. But they need, in order to get it, they're gonna need to get that done.
Right.
The ball would be in their court then.
They're gonna have to be an entity.
That makes sense, okay. Anything else on EMS?
that'll be his problem.
Yeah, I see, taking notes.
Taking notes, Carl.
Any, that, it on EMS?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, one other thing on the spring paramedics, we're working on that too. There's another committee on that.
Okay,
And, you know, we're meeting every Thursday. And, you know, we haven't found out when to apply for this money or whatever yet. So there's a lot of things like we need to order a couple vehicles, you know, but you can't order vehicles unless you got money to pay for them. So, and it's things like that. So it's coming along, but it's slow, right, Bill?
Yep,
Yeah. So.
so Elk Lake Township, Chad had sent that out. For their $2,000. And make a motion to approve their ARPA request for their $2,000.
Are you gonna include Hoffman's request for, I'm assuming that was what you had
Oh,
left?
yes, excuse me, let's do both. Their balance was $2,099.50 or something like that.
Yeah.
So the balance, I'll make the motion for both Hoffman and Elk Lake Township. Thank you.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, we should address the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Which is an email from Chad. The PDF on the one that he's got, funds designated but not requested to date. We had talked about September 1st. Is that correct? We agree on that? Now, I visited with Chad, some of these, we got the housing for West Community Actions, and we got the EMS, the ambulance, not to exceed. You had the childcare, Western Prairie, and the City Hoffman's taken care of, and Elk Lake's taken care of. In our discussion, we agreed that because they necessarily haven't come forward, they won't lose. Those first entities won't lose because they've made a general request. Am I saying it right, Chad?
Well, you obligated,
We've,
portion goes to those entities, right?
yeah, so we've approved,
My recollection of the discussion as to the September first date was for the cities and townships, not for the other entities that
yes, so.
have it.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So we have an understanding based on the one document that Chad sent to us that. So basically, we got Logan, Gordon and Erdahl Township would be the three, then that if we don't. Receive a request by the end of the month, then that would get moved to. And they've been,
The two of my district, I reached out to them. And I told them September first, so
okay, so
I'm
we.
not gonna do it again.
I'm gonna, I guess, yeah, if we feel we're done our part as far as letting these townships know.
And you just have more unallocated money.
And isn't there like 2,500 unallocated now?
3587.
$30,000.
Okay. So if those three townships, that'll be 6,000 more.
There's your courthouse security money.
That's, yeah. There you go.
That'd be good.
Any other questions or?
Or you can buy the auditor's office a car.
What kind of car are we buying for
Yeah,
Down payment.
$9,000?
Heard that, down payment.
well, if you surrender the block, that's the down payment right there.
Yeah.
The engineers got one.
I don't know if we fell off the rails, but we can continue the discussion. I'm lost here.
Other people have one, why can't we have one?
Yeah. So, any other committee reports?
We should have on the agenda next month, HRA appointments due. Put it on the agenda as an item.
Oh, for the board, you mean? The ones that come up. So do we know who
Not
they are?
married up.
Oh, okay, so,
Have you talked to them?
I've talked to Tom.
Yeah.
Well, you can just do it now if you want. If you want to wait it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna change in 2 weeks, so
Yeah,
and he's willing to serve
he'll
again?
do it again, yep.
okay.
Bob Grover will do.
He's not
I
busy.
don't know if they're out.
Which one was that
The
for?
only one that I know of was.
Tom,
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought they were all up at the
I think
same.
Lauren is up in 26.
no, they're every 5 years, and so it's just one a year.
I see.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Right,
historically, what Jim had done was let the commissioner from that district know.
Yeah, I got a letter.
The commissioner to talk to the individual and see if they want to reappoint, and if not, then that commissioner would bring a recommendation to the board.
Yeah, I got a letter and, yep.
So would you like to make that?
Yep.
Motion? Okay,
Yep.
Motion to reappoint Perry to the HRA board for another term. Is there a second
Second.
discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye,
Opposed? Carried. Anything else?
Can I bring up one other item real quick?
Sure.
My appointment is due by October first.
That's it.
The other thing is if the county board chooses to do nothing, I will be automatically reappointed as the county assessor for the next 4-year term until I were to put a resignation. So the county board could make no decision and I would just be reappointed if I'm still the county assessor as of October first. Otherwise, we need to reappoint me. We could take care of that in the September meeting if that were.
Yeah.
Desired, otherwise we can just do nothing. Those are the two options.
So, but you said if we do nothing, you get reappointed?
automatically.
Automatically.
See, that was what
Justin said with Matt was we didn't, it was supposed to have been done in May.
Yeah.
Cause we appointed him until May, and then when we didn't do it, Justin's like, well, he's automatically, you know, so then he can't leave. That's the way I read it.
Well, and it was my idea to formalize it just, because I think it.
That was good to recognize them.
So we'll have that. Let that play out. And so, otherwise, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn at 10:40. Thank you.
Thank you.
So.
We'll talk here.